Hi, I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
I'm Arthur Nolan.
And welcome to Making It Work. Today we're going to talk to a very special guest. She wears many, many hats. She has many roles. But today she's here to talk about parenting, role reversal, and the impact it has had on her life. Welcome, Joanne Tolson Fuller. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you are very welcome. Well, I love you personally because you take care of the outer side of me and my inner soul. You're my cosmetologist and, my beauty care specialist. But you have gone through some things in this last year and a half. Joanne, tell us your story, because no one knows your story like you. Tell us about what has happened to you and your parents.
Well, I've lost both of my parents. My mother began the stages of dementia. I had so many names for it. Back then it used to be senility, dementia. Some people used to call it a spell. But she went through her stage of dementia. And I was the first one to notice it in the family because I'm not there and I didn't live with them, where my brother that lives in Chicago with them and my dad didn't see it, but I saw it. And so it took them a while to get on board as far as realizing what was going on and seeking help. But during that time that I noticed it, she would make little statements like, my cranium's not working today. That was her favorite statement. When she couldn't remember things or when things got her frustrated, she would say, my cranium is not working today. And of course it progressed because my dad wouldn't take her to the hospital or to the doctors. He felt like there was nothing wrong with her. It was just old age. Wow. And so finally things got to the point where she would drive and get lost. And we had one incident where my dad had a doctor's appointment and it was raining and she told him, I'm gonna go and see if the car windows are up. And he gave her the keys and she went to the car, and when he came out from his doctor's appointment, she could not be found. So my brother calls me because they couldn't find her anywhere. And he calls me and I told him, well, did you put out an Amber Alert? And so a lot of people think Amber Alert is only for children, right. But it's not. So I had to tell him to put out an Amber Alert because she does not know, I'm sure she does not know where she is going. She probably thought she was going back to Wisconsin or something because she started talking about home a lot. Going home, she started talking about her parents. And she started talking about her brothers and sisters. There were 12 of them, but she was talking about them as they were younger. And so we put out an Amber Alert, and they found her 24 hours later in a small town in Indiana.
Really?
And the police had to chase her down. They had to shoot the tires out.
Really?
So that she would stop driving. And even when they shot the tires out, she got out of the car and just started running. Mercy. And so thank God that, nothing happened to her, that nobody else found her, and then when my dad and brother finally drove from Chicago to this little town in Indiana, she came out, they had her in the back and she came out and was like, hey, what's going on? What y'all doing? And I mean, she really she did not remember what she had done. And that was the turning point for my dad to really, okay, you know what, this is what you need to do. And it was a struggle for all of us, but it was really a struggle for him because, this was his life mate for over 50 years. Oh my Lord. For over 50 years. And what I did was I started looking up information for dementia and Alzheimer's. And got into contact with the Alzheimer's Association, and they offer free classes everywhere.
Is that right?
And so my girlfriend had started noticing some things about her mom, and we decided that we would go to these classes together. So we went to these, there was a 6-week period, and we went to these classes together for 6 weeks to learn about Alzheimer's, to learn how to work with Alzheimer's patients, how to deal with them. Because a lot of people I found, and I found this with my dad, that I had to really tell him, you don't have to correct her all the time because she's in her own world. Mm-hmm. But she's telling a lie. Well, but she doesn't know that it's a lie. So you can't, because then it makes them frustrated.
Okay.
And that's when they start getting angry. So I learned from the Alzheimer's Association that it's their own world. Yeah. So you don't always have to correct them. If they say the sky is red and the sky is blue, okay. Okay. No, can't you see the sky is blue? It frustrates them, and that's when a lot of the anger and a lot of the confusion for them comes out, and sometimes it sends them spiraling down even worse. So Alzheimer's Association really helped me a lot, and they continue to send information. Like I said, the classes are free. Mm-hmm. They're free. They teach you how to do everything.
Excuse me. So how long did this process go? I mean, when you first recognized it, and then as it progressed, what was the time span?
It was probably about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
To the point that she passed. Mm-hmm. It was about 3 or 4 years.
And here's your father. You're a PK, pastor kid, a preacher's kid. Mm-hmm. And, I remember your mom being our Sabbath school teacher and treasurer of the church. I mean, just busy, camp meeting at that corner at the Lake Region Campground, with her sister. And to see or to have your brother call you and say, okay, we found Mom, did you have to start going back and forth? What were your responsibilities in all of this?
I did, mainly with my mom, because once they realized, and she did, they did finally put her on some medications, which helped to keep her a little calm. I told them I didn't want my mother to be lethargic, to be, like she's, because some people, they can't function, period.
Right, just numb.
And they just put them on so much medication. Mm-hmm. But we just wanted her to stay calm and to be, so that we could work with her. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so once they found out, I didn't have to go back as often. Mm-hmm. But what I did with my brother is that I told him he could call me anytime, day or night, because I was like his release. Mm-hmm. And, but I would go back and kind of help and just to keep my face in. And the hardest part was when it got to the point where she didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. And basically she didn't know who a lot of us were.
What point was that?
When the Alzheimer's started really progressing. Mm-hmm. Who are you again? And you'll ask a question, do you have children? Yeah, I have children. Mm. Well, and then, but she's looking at you like, who are you? Mm. So, and then even my dad, I guess it had regressed or back to the point where they were like dating. Mm-hmm. So he would try to get her ready for bed or something like that. You can't be doing that. You're not supposed to be in my house. That kind of stuff. So it was like, oh, okay. And there was one time I came up and I had cooked for them and was washing dishes. And my dad told her, okay, we're getting ready to get you ready for bed. Well, who's going to do it? Because you can't do it. And he said, look behind you. Look and see who's behind you. And he was like, she looked behind and, you mean that lady's going to put me to bed?
That lady.
That lady. Oh. And another time I went and she was walking around with my picture in her hand. Mm. And because we put all of our pictures on her mirror in her bedroom. Mm-hmm. And so I guess she had taken it down, was walking around the house with my picture in her hand. And finally one evening we were just sitting in the living room talking and everything. And she looked at the picture and she just threw it in the corner. And I mean, that just kind of like, that crushed me.
I can
You know,
imagine.
and everybody was looking at me like, okay, what is she going to do? But I didn't react. Because she didn't know what she was doing.
No.
You know, and, you know, so you go through those things. So it really, it's heart-wrenching to see your parents. You know, you think they're going to be there forever. And you know, we know that life is not forever. But when it comes to the point that you're going to lose them or you're losing them, it's heart-wrenching. That's heart-wrenching.
Had your father had a stroke? You said he had multiple strokes because your father passed away also recently.
Yes.
Did he have any strokes during the time your mom was ill?
No, he didn't. Actually, God kept him really healthy.
All together?
Yes, he did. And he took care of her. There was no way that she was going into a home.
No way.
No way.
That wasn't even an option.
That wasn't even an option. And so we went and we had to take carpeting up in the house and, you know, put chair lifts up to go up the stairs and bought chairs the ones that can help you get up. We just really just changed the house so that she could function in the house. But there was no way that he was going to put her in a nursing home.
So at this point, the whole family is devastated.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yes.
And it's like the more information that came out, you know, the more you recognize that there was really nothing that could be done. But in the meanwhile, they were also providing you with medication.
Right.
To help.
Right.
What actually did the medication do?
One medication just kept her kind of calm. One medication was also supposed to slow the advancement of the Alzheimer's. It was supposed to slow it down. It would not take it away. It would not even make her go back to, it would just kind of slow it down. And there are a lot of medications out there, but you have to pick and choose.
Really?
You really do. Because like one of the medications they wanted to put her on caused fainting. Now, my dad was 80-something also. So if she faints in the house or if you take her somewhere, she faints, who's going to pick her up? That was one of the major side effects of the medicine. So we decided not to put her on that medicine. But there are a lot of different... And you have to ask questions. You know, a lot of doctors got a little upset with us because we would ask questions. And why? And, well, we don't want that. Well, I'm your doctor. What do you mean you don't want it? But we still have a choice. So you have to ask questions. You have to stand up for your loved ones.
Did you also receive assistance from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
tell
did
us
receive
about that.
assistance that came in 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
And they would make sure that she was taken care of, that she was bathed, and they would cook, clean, light cleaning, maybe even do some light laundry, stuff like that. And that really helped my dad. And then, of course, my brother, who still lives in Chicago, he also went over to help. So it's a lot of work, but...
And you still maintained your business here in Detroit. You're married. You have a son.
Yes.
And you're women's ministry leader of your church.
Yes.
You know, music committee. A lot of hats you wear.
Yes.
You know, and, you know, your own spirituality. How did it impact your spirituality?
It was hard. It was hard. It was rough. Actually, it was like, you know how sometimes you get so busy that it's almost you have no time for God, but I would find myself praying while I was on the road or praying because it's like you don't have time to sit and study. You don't have time to just... And so actually, it was after my mother passed. And, you know, I was really going through and I asked God, you know, you told me that you would be a comforter. And I know I haven't been in the Word like I should have been. And I know I haven't been studying. But, I talk to you every day. I even talk and pray while I'm driving. I talk and pray while I'm working, whatever. And one morning I got up and I went down and I got my Sabbath school lesson. I got 2 different versions of the Bible. I got the Desire of Ages. And I sat on my bed and I was like, okay, Lord, show me something. Because I felt like I was going crazy. I felt like I was losing it. And it was really just, I could just hear his voice. And he just said, you need to pull all that away. You can't hide behind all of that. You need to come directly to me.
Mercy.
And I mean, that morning was just, and I crawled up at my pillow and I held my pillow. And I'm telling you, when you hear people say they feel like they're in the bosom of God, I felt like I was in the bosom of God. And I just cried and cried, because I couldn't cry because I was so busy. I couldn't, and then my brothers depended on me. I'm the only girl. So they depended on me to do, even with the funeral and everything. You know, with my dad, the funeral, my dad was like, whatever she wants. And they would ask questions and they all would look at me. Whatever she wants.
Talking about you.
Talking about me.
Whatever
I want to do. Whatever she says, y'all do. Whatever, you know. So everything, I felt like everything was on me. So I couldn't break.
For the services, did you do your mother's hair?
No.
You did
No,
not.
but
You stepped back.
I did step back with that. In fact, my sister-in-law had to make me step back from, because I also do obituaries and program, little desktop publishing. And she said, no, you're not going to do that.
You're going to be a daughter.
Yeah, I'm going to be your daughter today. I didn't sing for her funeral, but just, but what I did, I gave her one of my dresses that she loved, and I did have them put that on her.
Wow.
And, but yeah.
Did you make that?
No.
Okay.
No.
She sews also beautifully. Wedding coordinator, just everything. Oh, and she can cook and bake. My goodness, I directed this wedding. And when I do weddings, I call on Joanne, and she did this beautiful arrangements of all the desserts. Remember that wedding?
I remember.
And it was absolutely fabulous. And the wedding cake was unbelievably delicious. Joanne made that. So just multi-talented. And we just went to a wedding that Joanne coordinated. And she was in the wedding too. Yeah. And it was a beautiful wedding.
That's almost like a release, you know, that you do so many things, you know. It's like a cover. As you indicated, you know, you were involved. You couldn't cry, you know. But
I couldn't break down.
You couldn't break down because
I didn't have time to break down.
You were involved in all these different things, you know. But when you really came to the point where you had to release, you recognized that through God delivering a message to you, that you had to go to him straight forward, you know, without any other distractions. He wanted you to connect with him. And how did you feel at that moment, you know, when you did connect?
I'm telling you, it was, and I understand. I understand when people say that you're in the bosom of Jesus, because that's how I felt. I felt like I felt literally like he had wrapped me up, and I was just in his chest crying, just in his bosom, just crying. I mean, because I had developed high blood pressure and diabetes.
What?
After my mother passed.
What?
Never had any issues with that. Never. And then up until last year, they were getting ready to take me off of all the medicine, and then my dad passed.
And then your dad passed.
So it flared up again.
Okay, you know.
Mercy.
Yeah. So
was there a difference in the way you responded, you know, when your mother passed and your dad passed?
well, I was a daddy's girl.
Okay.
Yes, she was.
I was a daddy's girl. So that was hard. That was really, really, really hard. And with my dad, I was really on the road because now it was just my brother there taking care of my dad. And he had a stroke and gone to rehab and had come home. But they found an area in his brain that was inoperable. And they said that he would continue to have strokes. And he would, if he had surgery, he would die.
He wouldn't make it.
He wouldn't make it through the surgery. So that was really, really hard. So I was on the road a lot then because I didn't want my brother to have to deal with that. My youngest brother lives in Toronto, and he is one who does not deal with that very well. His thing is, I will give you what you need, you know, and you know he loves you, so we don't push him. We don't push him. We know that if he could deal with it, he would be there. We just kept him up on information. But I would go to Chicago and help my brother with my dad a lot.
So when were you doing this? I mean, I saw you at church most of the time.
That was only, I mean, sometimes I would drive down Saturday, come back Monday. Drive down Monday, come back Wednesday, and schedule appointments around, you know, schedule my work appointments around all of that, because sometimes I needed to be there during the week to take care of business for my brother. Sometimes I would take a train so that I wouldn't have to drive if I was tired, or so it was a lot. It was stressful, and especially when he started having the strokes after that first one. You could see the decline, and we knew that the time was short, because I didn't want my dad to suffer, and I prayed that my dad would not suffer, that he would not be hooked up, and he didn't want that either. Okay. So during this time, it was really busy, and we had the women's retreat in Wisconsin, and then after that, I had a gown that I had to finish up for this lady. And so I said, Lord, I hope this doesn't sound selfish, because I knew. And I said, if you give me 2 more weeks, so, because I can't leave these people hanging.
So you had a feeling, a sense that it was coming soon.
I did. And he gave me 2 more weeks to the day.
What?
Yes.
So you have not because you asked not.
Because I couldn't leave these people hanging. And that's how I felt. But he gave me 2 more weeks to the day.
So you weren't with your father?
We were with my father.
When he passed?
We all were in his room when they took him off the ventilator. And we got there on Friday, and they told us that there was no brain function. But it was funny that when I got there, and I said, Dad, I'm here, he started shaking. And like he was trying to get up and stuff. And the nurses looked, and, you know, I told him, okay, calm down. And I just started rubbing his head, and he just calmed right down. And the nurses were like, there's no brain function. And so, you know, he just relaxed. And so we met with the doctors. All of us met with the doctors on Saturday, and they took him off. They said they were going to take him off of life support on Sunday, and they took him off life support at 2:00 on that Sunday, and we stayed in there the whole time. And he left about 30 minutes later. Yeah, and that was hard. That was rough. It was really rough.
Joanne.
Did you get an opportunity to grieve, you know?
You know what? Thank God for my sister-in-law, Pam. She really was there. She really was there. My oldest brother, you know, he was, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, and, you know, we just have to tell him, just relax. Everything is going to work out. And thank God that they really stepped up, because I told them that I couldn't do this by myself this time. Y'all can't leave everything on me.
It was too much.
It was too much.
And what was the time frame between your mother and your father?
Almost 3 years.
3 years apart.
Almost 3 years. So it's close.
And your church family was there for you?
Oh, my goodness. I was shocked. The whole busload came up to Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, for the funeral. And it was nice. It was nice. Yeah, but that's your parents are the hardest. You know, they say children, and I know children are hard. I know that, but yeah, I felt like my dad was my support system. He was always there for me. I could talk to him about anything, you know, and he would listen, whether he agreed with it or not. He didn't agree with everything, but he would listen. And there were times when I wasn't in the church. I had left the church, and my mother and I weren't talking. And he used to write me little letters. You know, I love you. You're still my daughter. You know, that I don't like your lifestyle, but you're still a child of God, and I still love you. And just send me little cards and stuff. And I know she didn't know, because she would have been mad that he was communicating with me. But he was my rock. He was a very intelligent man. And I know he wasn't perfect. I know that. But that was my dad. That was my dad. He was...
And I remember being a little girl at Burns when Pastor Tolson was installed. I'll never forget that. And we had such a good team at church. We had Marshall T. Kelly. We had, Elder Pastor Tolson. We had the Nelsons. Sister Alice Strawbridge. I mean, growing up in a church where there was support and love and people around you that you could, role models that you could count on. So coming back to the church, I know it made your father very happy.
He was ecstatic.
In the next minute and 17 seconds, what could you say to our listening audience to help them deal with grief such as what you dealt with?
Talk about it. Don't keep it inside. Like I said again, I flared up again with my blood pressure and diabetes. And also developed sciatica and for some reason a herniated disc. One morning I just woke up and couldn't walk. So talk to someone. I am in therapy right now, dealing with the loss. And so many people, once they experience devastating losses, they make rash decisions. And one thing my therapist told me was, don't do anything. Because I was ready to get divorced. I was going to go out and buy a car. I was getting ready to move. Everything. She said, "Man, don't leave the house. Don't buy a car.
Don't leave
and forget about moving until we get some issues together." But a lot of people do things when they are grieving because you're reaching. You're looking for something. And you're looking for something to satisfy or to make you feel better. But you've got to heal from the inside.
I know people.
And our churches need to develop some grief counseling.
Yes.
Maybe some support groups. So that we know, because I know that I'm not the only one that's going through this. I don't feel alone in that area. But we need to bring those people together so that we can heal. Because until we heal, a lot of times we're no good for ourselves, and we can't help other people like we want to or should.
Oh, wow. This has been amazing. I just want to thank Joanne for coming, my dear friend. But I just want to say that we can make it, and God can continue to help us make it work.
Yes, He can.
And you have, Joanne. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
I'm Arthur Nolan.
We want to thank Joanne Tolson Fuller for being with us on Making It Work. God bless.
God bless.